Welcome to English lesson. Are you excited for a fun learning session? Let us now begin. Active and passive voice. In English grammar, verbs have 5 properties: voice, mood, tense, person, and number. Here, we are concerned with voice. The two grammatical voices are active and passive. Active voice means that a sentence has a subject that acts upon its verb. Passive voice means that a subject is a recipient of a verb's action. You may have learned that the passive voice is weak and incorrect, but it isn't that simple. When used correctly and in moderation, the passive voice is fine. What's the difference between active and passive voice? Active voice when the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action. We say that the sentence is in the active voice. Sentences in the active voice have a strong, direct, and clear tone. Here are some short and straightforward examples of an active voice. Active voice examples: monkeys adore bananas. The cashier counted the money. The dog chased the squirrel. Passive voice. A sentence is in the passive voice when the subject is acted on by the verb. The passive voice is always constructed with a conjugated form of to be plus the verb's past participle. Doing this usually generates a preposition as well. That sounds much more complicated than it is. Passive voice is actually quite easy to detect. For these examples of passive voice, we will transform the 3 active sentences above to illustrate the difference. Passive voice examples: bananas are adored by monkeys. The money was counted by the cashier. The squirrel was chased by the dog. When to use active and passive voice. Using the active voice conveys a strong, clear tone, and the passive voice is subtler and weaker. Here's some good advice. Don't use the passive voice just because you think it sounds a bit fancier than the active voice. That said, there are times the passive voice is useful and called for. Take the squirrel was chased by the dog, for example. That sentence construction would be helpful if the squirrel were the focus of your writing and not the dog. A good rule of thumb is to try to put the majority of your sentences in the active voice, unless you truly can't write your sentence in any other way. What is the passive voice? In general, the active voice makes your writing stronger, more direct, and you guessed it, more active. The subject is something or it does the action of the verb in the sentence. With the passive voice, the subject is acted upon by some other performer of the verb. The passive voice is not incorrect. In fact, there are times when it can come in handy. Read on to learn how to form the active and passive voices, when using the passive voice is a good idea, and how to avoid confusing it with similar forms. The difference between active and passive voice. Voice describes whether the grammatical subject of a clause performs or receives the action of the verb. Here's the formula of the active voice: subject plus verb performed by the subject plus optional object. Chester kicked the ball. In a passive voice construction, the grammatical subject of the clause receives the action of the verb. So the ball from the above sentence, which is receiving the action, becomes the subject. The formula subject plus some form of the verb to be plus past participle of the transitive verb, optional prepositional phrase. The ball was kicked by Chester. That last little bit by Chester is a prepositional phrase that tells you who the performer of the action is. But even though Chester is the one doing the kicking, he's no longer the grammatical subject. Modal verbs. A modal verb is a type of verb that is used to indicate modality, that is, likelihood, ability, permission, request, capacity, suggestions, order, obligation, or advice. Some of the common modal verbs are can, could, may, might, and must. Let's understand them briefly. The modal verbs are can, may, must, shall, will, might, could, should, would. We use modals to show if we believe something is certain, possible, or impossible. My keys must be in the car. It might rain tomorrow. That can't be Peter's coat. It's too small. We also use them to do things like talk about ability, ask permission, and make requests, and others. I can't swim. May I ask a question? Could I have some tea, please? Would you like some help? Possibility. We use may, might, and could to say that something is possible but not certain. They may come by car. Maybe they will come by car. They might be at home. Maybe they are at home. If we don't hurry, we could be late. Maybe we will be late. We use can to make general statements about what is possible. It can be very cold here in winter. It is sometimes very cold here in winter. You can easily get lost in this town. People often get lost in this town. Impossibility. We use can't or cannot to say that something is impossible. That can't be true. You cannot be serious. Certainty. We use must to show we are sure something is true and we have reasons for our belief. It's getting dark. It must be quite late. You haven't eaten all day. You must be hungry. We use should to suggest something is true and we have reasons for our suggestions. Ask Miranda. She should know. It's nearly 6 o'clock. They should arrive soon. Ability. We use can and can't to talk about someone's skill or general abilities. She can speak several languages. He can swim like a fish. They can dance very well. We use can and can't to talk about the ability to do something at a specific time in the present or future. I can see you. Help! I can't breathe. We use could and couldn't to talk about the past. She could speak several languages. I couldn't see you. Permission. Asking for permission. We use can to ask for permission to do something. Can I ask a question, please? Can we go home now? Could is more formal and polite than can. Could I ask a question, please? Could we go home now? Giving permission. We use can to give permission. You can go home now. You can borrow my pen if you like. Refusing permission. We use can't and may not to refuse permission or say that someone does not have permission. You can't go home yet. Students may not travel for free. Request. We use could you and would you as polite ways of telling or asking someone to do something. Could you take a message, please? Would you carry this for me, please? Offers and invitations. We use can I to make offers. Can I help you? Can I do that for you? We can also use shall I. Shall I help you with that? Shall I call you on your mobile? Suggestions and obligations. Suggestions. We use should and shouldn't to make suggestions and give advice. You should send an email. You shouldn't go by train. We also use could to make positive suggestions. We could meet at the weekend. You could eat out tonight. Obligations. We use must or need to say that it is necessary to do something. You must stop at a red light. Everyone needs to bring something to eat. You can wear what you like, but you must look neat and tidy. Types of modals. Will and would. Will is used to show a wish, prediction, request, demand, order, assumption, promise, etc. Examples. Will you please keep quiet? Arona says, it will rain today. Kumar said he will not drink alcohol henceforth, whereas would is used to show a wish or to request in a polite way and sometimes to express habits. Would you please give me 100 bucks? She would remain very calm during her examination days. Can. Can is used to show permission, possibility, and ability. You can join us for dinner if you want. Can I leave early today? Sanvika can speak English fluently. Could. Could is used to represent a suggestion, request, permission, future possibility, and ability in the past. Could I go for a movie? I think we could do it. Neha gave up her dream so that she could marry him. May. May is used to ask permission and to show future possibilities. May I have a cup of tea? India may become a developed country by 2020. Might. Might is used to show present and future possibility. I have a coupon for pantaloons that might offer a discount of 10% after showing them. Mrs. Smith might be sleeping now. Let's not disturb her. Must. Must show the necessity, obligation, and prohibition. You must not do it. We must leave now. Should is used to show advice and obligation. Examples: you should walk carefully as the roads are slippery. Shreya, you should close the tap and avoid wastage of water. Basic form of verbs. Base form of a verb with examples. The base form or root of a verb is the form listed in the dictionary. It is the version of the verb without any endings. Endings such as s, ing, and ed. The base form is the same as the infinitive. Example: to walk, to paint, to think, but without the to. The base form is one of the 5 verb forms in English. Let's look at all 5 forms of the verb to take. The 5 verb forms. The table below shows the 5 verb forms in English. Why should I care about the base form? Understanding the verb forms, including the base form, is useful when learning English because it allows teachers and pupils to talk about the components that form the various tenses. For example, with some verbs, the base form, past form, and past participle form are the same. However, with others, they are all different. Knowing the various verb forms is a great starting point for learning these complex rules and exceptions. Verbs, the 3 basic forms. Main verbs have 3 basic forms: the base form, the past from the ed form, sometimes called the ed participle. Base form, used as the infinitive form with to or without to. Do you want to come with us? I can't leave now. And for the present simple, I always read before I go to sleep every night, except third person singular, which uses the est form. She works at the university. Past form, used for the past simple. He opened the door and went out. Ed form, used from auxiliary have and be. I've always wanted a piano and I was given one last week. Examples of 3 basic forms. Regular verbs. Most verbs in English are regular. Regular verbs add ing to the base form to make the ing form and ed to the base form to make the past simple and the ed form. Base forms which end in a consonant plus y. If the base form ends in a consonant plus y, then y changes to ied to make the past form and the ed form The Y ending does not change in the ing form. Base forms which end in a vowel plus single consonant. If the base form ends in a vowel followed by a single consonant, and if the last syllable is stressed, for example, begin, drop, occur, refer, run, shop, stop, transfer, then the consonant is doubled. If the last syllable is not stressed, example, benefit, happen, open, order, profit, then the consonant is not doubled. Stressed syllables are underlined in the table. Vowel plus L. The consonant is doubled if the base form ends in a vowel plus L, whether the last syllable is stressed or not. Thank you for watching!